My dear people of the United Kingdoms of Tikar, Bamenda Highlands, I greet you all. Today we will be exploring the case of the 300,000 plus Bamileke people that were massacred in the 1950s and 1960s in Cameroon by Ayijo's government in collaboration with France. We will dive deep into that story because it is our story. For those of the Ambazonian movement, pay attention to this story closely. Those from the United Kingdoms of Tikar, watch every second of this video. Let's dive into the story, and we are going to make careful observations. Let's take a look.
In the 1950s and 60s, the French army fought alongside Cameroonian government forces against members of the leftist UPC movement, which it labelled as rebels. Historians say that during this little-known war, tens of thousands of people were killed. France 24 talked to a crucial witness who saw massacres being committed. A report carried out in France and Cameroon by Nicolas Germain, with Marcela Moko, Zigoto Chaya, Melina Huet and Sylvain Rousseau.
In a remote village in southwest France, this former French soldier took part in a war that few people, even in France, have heard of. One which has been described as the beginning of France-Afrique, the murky relationship between Paris and its former African colonies. Bardais was sent to Cameroon between 1962 and 1964 in the western Bamileke region. He was a helicopter pilot and witnessed several massacres committed by the Cameroonian army. It was strongly supported and funded by France.
That's a Bell 47 G2, 280 horsepower, a very small helicopter, just 3 seats.
If you are from the Bamileke land, pay attention to this video as well. Because through this video, you will know your story, how you're perceived in this country. You will understand why all of this happened. Today, the Bamileke people are still grieving because of this particular incident. A people that don't know their history are bound to repeat the same mistake again and again. History always repeats itself. But when we are in a different dispensation, we think it is something new. So keep watching.
The Cameroonian army, backed by France, targeted members of the UPC, a party that opposed President Amadou Aidjo. The UPC believed that after independence in 1960, Aidjo was simply France's hand-picked puppet. For the first time on television, Max Bardais describes the atrocities he saw.
Soldiers of the Cameroonian army were ordered to kill the men, but not the women. Women would be left to agonize. Most had been wounded by AK-47 bullets. But not only that, what I want to say is that they would also cut off their breasts and disembowel them.
During these massacres, Max Bardais was accompanied by a French officer.
The officer who was with me was here to be on the lookout and make sure no one would witness what was going on, that no one could ever testify or accuse France and the few members of the French military still present in Cameroon of being involved in what was going on.
So France has tried as much as possible to cover up for what they did to our brothers. Those from the Northwest, hear me well. Your brothers by DNA are the Bamileke people. I'm going to show you on a map so that you don't miss out on your history. Some people come around here, they are talking about the original people in Israel. Do you know about your own history? I'm not saying we should be naive about what is going on in the world, but master yourself first know your history, at least 1,000 years of your history, before you master world history or what is going on in Israel. Know your history. Bamileke people, you will know why you are being targeted. And as we are gradually getting closer to this election, it is very important that you never forget. I hope you're sharing these stories with your children every day. 300,000. My friends, we are talking about the 19th century. We are talking about the 1950s. We are talking about 20% or less of French people that were involved in intelligence, planning, organizing, and monitoring the camps, while over 80 to 90% were black people from Douala, from the north, from Yaoundé, going into the Bamileke land and killing our people, destroying the Bamileke people. 300,000 plus. And we are in Cameroon. Rio dos Cameros. Crayfish. That is the meaning of the name of this country. The Portuguese named us crayfish. We have it on our passport, on our national ID. We have it on every official document. On your passport, it says Cameroon. Crayfish. 300,000 Bamileke people massacred. Many fled to the northwest and the southwest till today. %20 was French intelligence. 80 to 90% black people in this country conspiring with outsiders to go into the Bamileke land and take the lives of our men. They said, take every man out. Every man, take them down. Leave just the women. Torture them. Beat them. Kill them. And France is covering up for what they did in Cameroon. Until of recent, the Bamileke people are still feeling that pain. And they say, we are going to file a lawsuit against France. We need some compensation, reparation for this inhumane act upon our people. Ambazonian people, I say, pay close attention, especially the Tikar people. Your story is not different from that of the Bamileke people. Just like the Bamileke and the Douala people came together for a mission, it's the same thing you and the Southwest people have come together on a mission. You and Bamileke are the same by blood. Why the Southwest and the Douala people are the same by blood. Coastal people with grass field people going on a mission. Let's keep watching.
Orders and following a publication by a general named General Lamberton, who is now dead, who was supervising the operations in Cameroon, operations for pacification of Cameroon, as it was called. And this general specifically says that the Bamileke people, which is a population in Western Cameroon, is an ethnic minority, which is a problem in the pacification of Cameroon. So saying this, ironically, most of the war operation theater were located in locations where Bamileke people had been identified. So legally, there is a question whether there was a physical element of a genocide, that is to say, killing a group of people, and the mental element of a genocide, which is intentionally targeting an ethnic or a racial or a religious group within a country. So I think
targeting an ethnic group within a country. Remember, the Douala people and the Southwest people sold the Bamileke people and the Northwest people as slaves. During the UPC era, Omni Obe is a man from Douala. He was selected as the spokesman for the UPC. We had Ernest Wandi and Roland Momi. They were all from the West region. But the Bamileke people were specifically targeted, and 300,000 plus people were killed, and the story buried under the carpet. What happened with Ambazonia? The Northwest people were agitated. Everything started in the Northwest before we heard about the soldiers that were killed in the Southwest, and then everything escalated. Seseko Ayoktabe was chosen from the Southwest to lead, while others from the Northwest were supporting the movement. The same structure. You see that? The same structure. Omni Obe from Douala, Seseko Ayoktabe from the Southwest. Then why did they target the Bamileke people? If the soldiers were killed in the Southwest, why is Bamenda suffering from this crisis more than the Southwest? Bamileke people and the Northwest people, you guys are the most envied people in this country by the North, the Yaoundé, and the coastal people. These are the 4 distinct civilizations stitched to create Cameroon. Grassfield, that is the West region and Northwest. Coast, Douala, Kribi, and Southwest. North, where Ayijo comes from, and Isa Churuma. So as you are preparing to go vote, as you are preparing for this election, if you are a Bamileke man and you go in there to vote for Isa Churuma, you are a disgrace to your community. If you are from the Northwest and you go in there to vote for Isa Churuma, you are a disgrace to your ancestors. And I just want to make it clear. 300,000 plus. Your children should know about this story every day of their life. This is the structure, my friends. 7 European countries came and enslaved close to 13 million Africans. Just 7. And let me shock you. Europe is made up of 47 countries. 47. And out of those 47 countries, only 7 came down and enslaved more than 13 million Africans. For those who are Pan-Africanists, pay attention. This is an education session for you. Out of that 7 countries, out of those countries, about 1% did that job. 1% from each country, enslaved more than 13 million Africans. Almost 2.5 million died in the Middle Passage. About 10.7 made it to America, to Brazil and the Caribbean and Europe. Guess what? 20% of Africans conspired with Europeans against their own people. And then the rest within the coast went along with it. There is always one of Europeans, and there is 20, unless 1% from each country conspired with an idea to colonize Africa. Because when you hear slavery and slave trade and colonialism, you think it's the entire Europe. No, it's not the entire Europe. Just 7 countries. 1% from each country did that job. I'm restoring your confidence, because when you walk around, you think every white man is smart. Why? Because even within the white community, they know how to elevate the great ones that will bring wealth and prosperity in their community. And because of that, they enjoy for a very long time. They understand that mathematical formula. Some people say, oh, all black people were smart, all black people were strong, all black people were all that. And I'm like, no, sir, I don't believe that story. I don't. We can't have 1% of Europeans and 20% of Africans willing to sell the rest. And then you tell me all of Africa was smart. No. Few. Even in Egypt, the empires that were built, few black African countries had the skills, had the know-how, and participated to build those pyramids. Not the entire black population. Even in your class, will you say everybody took number 1? Everybody went to Sacred Heart? That is how we look at life. Right? If one person didn't, then everybody did it. Every Cameroonian is a good soccer player like Atrocities. What kind of thinking is that? That is what you go along. Go find some of these frustrated individuals that want to go along with one Africa ideology and dance with them. You can enjoy that kind of conversation with them, not here. If everybody that is black was that smart, it will not take close to 50 years for the Ambazonian movement to gain this traction. Just like what I'm sharing here, do you know the percentage of people that are engaging? When I see those numbers, I should turn around and say black people are that smart. The white people know how to see a great idea coming out of one of their own, and everybody rally behind that, and it brings blessings to their community. Whether it is good or bad, this is a careful observation through my interactions, even with the white community. But this is what will happen this time around. This is time for us to cooperate with those same white people and deal with those 20% that are always willing to sell us out. We will get to the extent that we will forgive these white people, get to do fair business with them and show them how they will be profitable, not hurting us, but cooperating with us to get you, the 20% among us, that is always willing to think about your stomach at the expense of everybody else. We have to destroy these enemies within and not outside. 80 to 90% were soldiers from Cameroon, willing to pick up a gun, go into the Bamileke land, and take out our people. This was not a white man. It was a black man. Just like today, if you think that black people really love one another, who do you see coming into the northwest to shoot you? Is it not a black man with BIR? Is it a white man, my brother? And those who are quiet, are they not black people that are quiet and watching this going on? Are they not black people, my brother? How many African countries have supported you? The African Union will send a delegation to come see what is going on in the Northwest. The individual arrives Yaoundé, enjoys his reception and goes back without setting foot in the Northwest or the Southwest. Wake up. This is 2025. Again, I want to repeat. It is time for us to cooperate with those white people, and we will be willing to negotiate even the terms of reparation or forgive the white people and deal with that 20% that is always willing to sell us, always willing to betray us. And this race card that they have used to confuse the masses so that we don't understand what they are doing to us will come to an end. Before the 1400, my people, they were not looking at people because of the color of their skin. If you are a great, smart black man, you had a fair chance in society. This racial construct came through Portugal and the rest of the European countries, the 7 European countries, about 7 to 8. So with this now, you don't walk around and look at every white person and think that, oh, they are smart automatically. You see them as smart because they know how to follow leadership and their community gets blessed. By now, this movement would have been on a whole different level. Just the data that are deposited on this platform. But people want to watch TikTok videos. And then you turn around and tell me that black people were smart, white people came and took everything from us. No, start educating yourself to be that smart. Few black people were smart back then, and it's the same thing today. But the worst thing is, today, those few black people that are smart are being silenced by other black people. They are being silenced by the same people in their community. The first step to show me that you were smart back then is to pick up a good idea and I see your reaction in the comment section. Because when I read your comments, I go to the white people's platform and see their own intellectuals in their community, and I read the comments as well. I see the kind of questions, the kind of responses. I benchmark everything. My team is working 24/7. We are monitoring everything. You think you come together before you become smart? If you cannot be smart in the Northwest or in the Southwest or in the Tikar land, you will be smart when you come together as Africans. Smart people, first of all, they know how to ask good questions. They know how to cooperate. They know how to work as a team. Smart people know how to support the best among them so they can bring the blessings in the community. Ignorant people fight one another. When they see you in a position, they want to drag you down. Crab mentality, crayfish mentality. So don't do that and then turn around and tell me, we are smart. Hell no. What is your criteria for being smart? What is that criteria?
With the opening of these arches and with the opening of, with all these documentaries, these questions, these historic questions will also be answered on the legal point of view.
But not only were these operations off the radar, they were also extremely violent. In the 1960s, you had entire villages being destroyed in air raids. People were being forced into camps surrounded with barbed wire. Torture was becoming systematic.
The revelations in this book come after those published in the first edition, and they could have legal and financial consequences for France.
The French government is fully aware that the Mau Mau, a group that was violently repressed in Kenya in a similar way and at a similar time, sued the British government a few years ago and won compensations. Lawsuits are still being filed.
Do you know the crime these people committed? That they don't want colonial masters. They want to be independent. Omni Obe, Roland Mumi, NS1D. They wanted a country free of colonial masters. Ayijo, from where Issa Churuma comes from, conspires with France to make sure that the rest of Cameroon goes under a colonial master. And he was willing to take the contract for that job. And we have armies, men born of Cameroon that thought it was a good idea, went and subjected themselves under so-called military, take guns, received training from France to go into the Bamileke land to take other black people out because they want a nation free from the colonial master. That is their crime. That is their crime. And they systematically targeted, because France knows. They know the Bamileke people. Oh, we captured these people at some point as slaves. We know the story. This specific group, the groups that were targeted the most, Northwest and West region. You guys are smart, hardworking. Look at the businesses Bamileke people are running. Look at how industrious the Northwest people are. Jealousy. They have to confront that from within them. The woman with the biggest salon in the United States of America comes from the Bamileke land. This is not coincidence. And I will show you where we come from. And some people think, oh, every black person. No, it's not every black person. Mama, brother, when you turn around, you see, is it every black person that is successful? Is it every black person that is smart? And it's the same with white people. It's not every white person that is smart. I've gone to conferences, listened to most of their speakers. It's not every white person that is smart as well. But they know how to identify the smart ones among them, support them financially, show up for them, so that they can bring in blessings for the entire community. There's a clip here I will show you on that. And then I'll show you our map and our migration, so you never ever forget your story. Master your own history before you master the history of the Jewish people in the Middle East. Master your own history, back and forth. Go way back as 1,000 years and know your history before you go know the history of what is happening in the Middle East, in Europe, and in America. You know everything that is going on in America, but you don't know yourself. You know everything that is going on in the Middle East, but you don't spend 1 hour a day to study your own history and know yourself. You don't do that. And then when you turn around tomorrow, you tell me that you're smart. Our ancestors understood what collaboration was all about. When I'm talking about Northwest people, it's because I know the culture. You see our fund structure, right? Our kinship structure. That kinship structure enables us to learn how to follow order and walk in a constructive way in society. Our pain today is slavery and slave trade that broke our kingdoms apart. But even in these fractions that we are divided in today, we still understand some structure and leadership. That is why I'm urging everyone from the Northwest, quit this Ambazonian game. Fast. Quit it. I don't want to hear you get up and talk about Amba. You are smarter than that. Coming from Isubo, Victoria, Limbe, where they sold your ancestors as slaves, and you pick up that name Ambazonia. Smart people get this very fast and they change their mind. Never identify as that. See how stupid the movement was? See how fragmented the movement was? See how fractured the movement was? See the infighting, fighting for power. It was more important than the people that we were out to serve. Kidnapping for ransom. Bamenda people, you're smarter than that. Whatever has happened right up to this moment, you can pivot and do the right thing. But never settle in this nation. And Bamileke people, this is time to rise up. If you betray anyone from Northwest, you are betraying your own brother. And vice versa. Northwest, if you ever look down or betray a Bamileke man or woman or child, you are betraying your own brother. You are betraying yourself. No kidnap for ransom in our communities. Don't hurt your own people. I heard about what is happening in Big Babanki because we watch everything that is going on out here. Babanki people. Big Babanki. No. No to that habit. Don't hurt your own people. That is not you. Don't let this influence from the outside corrupt you. Revert back to who you are. You are a shield. You protect your people.
So I think the French government wouldn't like to find itself in a similar position. But they're also worried of the conclusions that could be drawn from their implication in the war in Cameroon. Because beyond the violent repression, it was one of the cornerstones in building a very peculiar system of French governance, not only in Cameroon, but in all of France's former colonies in Africa.
In Cameroon, some still remember the massacres of the 1950s and 60s. Tade used to be the bodyguard of one of the UPC's leaders.
In this war, there was no mercy. They bombed places and didn't care if women or children were living there.
Tade fought for many years in the Bamileke region against the French and Cameroonian armies. He was badly wounded.
After we had been ambushed, I ran away and I fell in a hole. My wound was so bad I lost consciousness. Thankfully, someone carried me to the hospital.
He doesn't regret his years in the movement.
Better die standing than to live on your knees.
France's official position is slowly evolving. In 2009, Prime Minister François Fillon said accusations that France had taken part in the killing of rebel leaders were pure inventions.
They abdicate responsibility that it was mere inventions. Why? Because it was black people that were coaxed, trained, given guns to go take the life of their neighbors. Help me make sense of the idea that black people are smart. Help me make sense that you have Cameroonians in 2025 cheering President Paul Biya to remain in power. Help me make sense that black people are all smart and the problem is Europeans. Help me make sense of that. Because the story tomorrow will be France made Paul Biya to treat us the way they are doing. Help me make sense. When I watch videos of people that have seen the torture, the pain, they are not coming up with solutions. They are rather saying Paul Biya is still qualified for the job. I stepped up to offer solution, to cooperate, to help fix this country. It was in that process that I realized that these people are not interested in any solution. They don't care about the people. Even the people themselves are not compatible to work with each other. That is why we will always find one or two people willing to sell another. But this is the generation, again, we will cooperate with those same white people to deal with you that look at your brother and feel like you should sell them. We will get to the extent to let the white people know we will speak on your behalf, even forgive what happened, just to deal with this 20% that is always willing to sell their people for their own stomach. And this betrayal in our community will end. Look at China. The people are loyal to at least a system that can provide food for them. See Cameroon. Sell everybody else and put the money in your pocket, or bank the money abroad in private banks, and while your people suffer. Help me make sense of black people were smart. Few, my brother. 2% built the pyramids in Egypt. And that is the lineage Tikar people came from. There are other smart, strong black people. I've talked about Shaka Zulu, the Mali Empire, the Ashanti Empire. few great ones rise up. And the smart black people at that time, the few black people at that time understood what it meant to follow leadership, to identify leadership. And that is why that empire expanded. Envy from inside and neighboring nations brought down those empires. These are predictable patterns throughout history. It is well documented. White people have fought hard to destroy that spirit from among them. Caesar failed because of a friend. Judas betrayed Jesus. You understand? How, my brother, someone that can bless your entire community and you don't see, and you're a smart person? No.
Connotation, both on the political and the military front. Is it time for the French public to see what's under that veil of secrecy, do you think?
Absolutely. It was highly time for such secrecy to be lifted up for two reasons. The first reason is that from a diplomatic perspective, relationship between France and Cameroon have always been very friendly and very warm. But from a non-institutional point of view, that is to say the Cameroonian citizens, Cameroonian civil society intellectuals, there is now a sort of suspicion against the France as a state. This suspicion was expressed during François Hollande's trip in Yaoundé a few years ago, and was also expressed against the French ambassador in France, the former French ambassador in France, who was booed during a huge rally against Boko Haram by many Cameroonian citizens. So that frustration totally, absolutely, in my opinion, absolutely lies in the secrecy of the France-Afrique, how the France-Afrique was born, and it was namely born during the conflict that happened in Cameroon between 1955 and some say 1970 and others say 1962. And opening archives, opening testimonies on what happened in that war, which certainly appeased the relationship and the feeling, the sentiments that Cameroonian people and intellectuals might have against the France as a state. And moreover, it's also very important for French citizens themselves. Many of them don't understand and don't know what has been done in their name in certain of the former colonies territories.
And one thing you understand is the few 1% that goes out to hunt for the rest. What they do, they don't share with their citizens. They only see the blessings. The same with slavery and slave trade. They don't even teach that in their schools, because a tiny percentage of the population did that. And we are having over 70% of our population acquiesce to that system. A fraction of their population, less than 1%, did slave trade, while about 20% of our population went along with it. And over 80% are victims. That is the story. When they come back, they don't go around making noise. Their people just see the benefit. The entire Europe benefited from slavery and slave trade. The entire Europe benefited from colonialism. Just like the entire country of France is benefiting from what Africa is going through. And we have 20% among us willing to do business with the 1% Europeans at the expense of everybody around them. And you have people willing to go get jobs in that system to maintain that system. And you say we have smart black people.
It's important today that with the age of information, with the fact that many people now have access to information that were kept secret, it's more and more difficult to hide these crimes.
Now, I want to show you something. You probably heard about the death of Charlie Kirk. Who was Charlie Kirk? He was a founder of Turning Point USA. He went around universities inspiring young people to protect American values. Some people like him, some don't like him. But there is a lesson I want to teach you from Charlie Kirk. And then we will go into Bamileke and Northwest history in this country. I want you to watch what he said when he visited Britain. And then I'll show you why the West is great and why we are poor. This small difference is huge. This small difference in attitude makes all the difference. Take a listen.
But we don't anymore. I don't think it's because America's changed. In fact, I think it's because Britain has changed. From my perspective, Britain is one of the greatest countries in the history of the world. You are the country of Shakespeare, the steam engine, and Adam Smith. You defeated Napoleon, you destroyed the slave trade, you stood up to Hitler. My country, America, became great as it is because of what we inherited from you, from Britain. When I hear the slogan, "Make America Great Again," I'm also hearing, quote, "Return America to its British roots." Great Britain has everything in the world to be proud of. But when I look at Britain today, I see a country where the ruling elites are in a race to abandon the very values, the values that made them so great in the first place.
That is Charlie Kirk in Britain, challenging the British people to rise up and reminding them of who they are. Charlie Kirk was a rhetorician. He used rhetoric. He was a thinker, memorized a lot of facts, went around educating young Americans to remain true to who they are. He was welcomed in every campus in this country before his sudden death. Americans raised him. Trump took him by his side. He helped to bring young people together so they can vote even for President Trump. When you look at your community, do you see leaders going out there to identify young, vibrant individuals from our community and bring them close and let them stand out there and bring young people together so they can move the community forward? Are you seeing that? No. If you see a young person, you try to compete with them in our community. Even your peers, you try to compete with them. You can't support them. Look at the crowd that came out here in the United States of America at Charlie Kirk's funeral. That is the crowd that came out to pay tribute to a 31-year-old man that went around speaking about the values in this country. That is not a soccer player. It's not. A thinker. Someone that the country identified was upholding the values that they believe in, that has made them great. Americans came out in their thousands to honor him. Some were rejecting the corpse of Ninjong Fonti in Bamenda. I said that was wrong. No matter what, it was wrong. We come from a community where we have been trained to respect the fawn. Even the fawn. If the fawn is 9 years old, we should respect that fawn. In this generation, if we don't learn how to respect the great minds in our community, we are going nowhere. If your age is in your head, that is a 31-year-old. That this entire nation came out to celebrate. Black people are smart. Black black people are smart. The problem is the Europeans. No, those are Europeans coming out there too, and they act different when they show up there. Now, I will take us into the relationship between the Northwest and the West region so that we can have a comprehensive view of our history as brothers, of which we've been for a very long time, and over time we have forgotten who we are. Let's take a look. That is the map of Africa. Where is Cameroon? Right here, right? That is Cameroon. Okay. To zoom out this map, right here, this is Egypt, and this is Sudan. Make sense? So this is Egypt right up here, this is Sudan. This is Libya right here, this is Chad. So we migrated from North Sudan to Cameroon. Our ancestors migrated. Bamileke people, the West region and Northwest, pay attention to this. The culture, the traditions that you uphold comes from this geographical location. The Nubians. This place used to be called Nubia. Today, it is Sudan. Your palaces, the fawns, Malfo, Nto, the leopard skin can be traced to Nubia. So this is where we migrated. We had black pharaohs from our ancestry that ruled Egypt. Bamileke people, West region, and Bamenda people, Northwest. So we migrated from North Sudan, that is south of Egypt, and we made our way to Adamawa right here. Let me zoom it out. So we migrated to Adamawa. From Adamawa, we migrated to Bafia, and Bafia is right here. Let me zoom it in so you see where Bafia is. So right here, this is Bafia. This is where Bam. If you've heard about our settlement at Bam, this is exactly where it is, Bafia. This is where we settled. Titam II was our ancestral guide from North Sudan through the Nile Valley to Adamawa and to Bafia. From here, Ngonso, those were the early migrants into the grass field. They moved to the grass field where you called Bamenda Highlands. So from Bafia, Ngonso was one of the early migrants. You heard about in Southern Kingdom, the Salt Dynasty. These were the early migrants. They moved to Bamenda Highlands and settled here. And Charien was a prince, a descendant of Titam II, who also migrated and found Bamun. Every kingdom in the Northwest comes from Titam II, the leader who guided us from North Sudan through the Nile valleys to Adamawa. Mbam, Ngambe Tikar. That is where we moved from, into the Highlands. We are brothers by blood. This is the country you call Cameroon. Right up here, this is the north. Yaoundé, this is East Central with Betwa. This is East Central. Right here, this is the coastal civilization. You see Limbe, you see Douala, and right down here, this is Kribi. And then Equatorial Guinea is our neighbor. You can see them down there. This is the map of your country. Study this well before we study Israel. This is our history. So when the slave raids happen, because we take the map, look at the map, study the map to understand exactly what happened. So this is southwest right here. See, all this is southwest right here. And this is Douala right here. And below, this is Kribi. You see that? So if you look at this map, we zoom it out a little bit so you understand what I'm talking about. You see the map? Right? So this is southwest, this is northwest, this is west region, and this is Douala. You see that? So the Europeans came through the ocean and they encountered the people here. This is Limbe. This is where you took that name Ambazonia from this place. It used to be called Bimbia Isubu. This is where Manga Williams, the king of Bimbia, who was exporting slaves, selling slaves to the white man, ruled. So you can see the connection between the northwest and the southwest. You see this? So this is northwest and this is southwest. So if you hear the story of slavery and slave trade, who do you think was coming in here? Douala and southwest people. And if most northwesterners were captured, then most of the individuals that captured northwesterners should come from the southwest. Do you see the map? This is the map. Maybe you've never looked at the map of your country this way. So Douala people mostly captured the west region. So if they are individuals, because more than 200,000 people were captured as slaves from the 1400 right up to the 1900. We saw the first white man in Bamenda in 1889, Eugene Zingraf. It was our own people, our neighbors, that were coming into our land, capturing our own people as slaves. So right here, this is the map. This is Kumba right here. You see, this is Douala right here. So if individuals were captured from the west region, most likely they came from Douala. And if individuals were captured from the northwest, they predominantly came from the southwest. You see that? So this is the structure. Omni Obe came from Douala. Roland, Momi, and NS1D came from the west region. This is your Yaoundé right here. This is where your terror is coming from, in collaboration with those in the north, to attack these people here. Northwest and west region, you have been the prime target from everyone around here. See that? From everyone around here. From the southwest, Douala, Yaoundé, and north. You have been the target, and you need to liberate yourselves from these people and let them know who they are, and that you understand what is going on in their minds about you, because they have seen you to be slaves that they can do with as they please. Tell them, I know this game, and let it stop. I learned this from a Douala man. He said you have to confront the devil to his face and tell him what he's doing to you. They know it better. This is the game that has gone on in this place for a very long time. So when the Douala people this is Douala right here, started demanding land rights from the German. The Germans are like, these guys are becoming smart. They've started studying. Okay, we'll just go over here to the north, work with Aijo, so that we can continue the game in this country called Cameroon. And the North said yes. Who trained Paul Biya? Aijo. Aijo is the mentor of Paul Biya. And if everything goes back to Issa Chiruma Bakari, what do you think is happening in this area? That is a food for thought. That is the story here. It has always been who among this group, North, Central, Douala, and Southwest, can play fast with the white man to do with everyone in here as they please in collaboration with the white man so that they can get these two people. We have always been the prime target, Northwest and West region. And you can work together, protect yourselves, or you get swallowed up by these people here. They will keep destroying you. You go into Yaoundé, go to Douala, build their economies, and yet never have control over anything. They control the military and they control your lives. That has been your story. But you are brave, smart, and without you, this entire population around you will suffer. And when you break away, they will start learning how to be hardworking and do trade with us in the best way possible and respect us, respect our communities, respect our traditions, respect our ways of life, respect our brilliance. That is why the first thing is to tell you a Bamenda man is dull. When a Bamileke man is planning for his future and the future of his children, they say he is greedy. Because when he has money, he should just distribute it and go back to square one. He should not plan for the future. When he plans for the future and his business is expanding, he's greedy. When you're hardworking, creative, they say you're dull, just to make sure that they cripple you mentally. That is what they did to slaves. Europeans did that to slaves. Make sure that they break their spirit. This is what has been going on in this area. I'll leave you for today. But is this interesting? Again, this is your story. This is where you migrated. This is Sudan. This is where we come from. A tradition, everything came from here. So right here, you see this is Israel right up here. And if you open up this map, you see this is Israel and this is the Gaza Strip I've been talking about. This is Israel right here. This is the Gaza Strip. This is where Goliath comes from in your Bible. For those who are sending me prophecies, if anyone in your community was a real prophet, they will trace the history of our people more than 1,000 years and present it to us. God made sure that I went through a seminary because he knew that I will meet charlatans that will come around to prophesy to me. All those so-called prophets, let them write a paper on systematic theology and submit that paper to me. And then I'll understand if they know what they are doing or what they are saying. The Anglophone crisis now is a clickbait, not only for politicians, but for prophets. When Moses took out the children of Israel out of Egypt, right? See, this is Egypt right here. Maybe you don't even know. This is Egypt right here. When he took out the children of Israel out of Egypt, the first thing was to show them their story, beginning with Adam and Eve. The first 5 books of the Bible is designed to help the children of Israel understand who they are, from Adam and Eve to their brother Joseph that was sold as a slave, and how all of them, including their brothers, came over to Egypt because the brother became a governor and they came to look for food and remained in Egypt and then were captured as slaves. he had to show them their story. If you are a real prophet, you should know these stories about our people, because this is what they need at this particular point in their history. A real prophet helps the people understand themselves in challenging times like this, not just babbling scriptures and looking for miracles. This is your history. The first thing he did was show them. He had to show them that you are God's chosen people. This is your genealogy, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He had to explain that lineage to them so that they understand themselves, even though they have been conditioned to be slaves. So those of you who just read the Bible just to look for miracles, this is how you understand a text. And this is what I'm doing with the Tikar people and the Bamileke people. Taking them 1,000 plus years back to show them where they come from, because they have been reduced to believe that they are slaves in this country. And so I take them back to show them who they are. And I don't want any interruption from someone claiming that they come from this area. We are not Bantu people. Just like the Israelites were in Egypt, everybody would have said, oh, we are slaves. All of us here, we are Middle Easterners. No, they didn't say that. And that kind of confusion is going to make it hard for some people to preserve something so dear that can help even the rest of the black race. Imagine they neutralize the energy or the divine calling of the Israelites. You wouldn't have even had the Bible, because all of them were slaves. Nubians were in there. We were slaves in Egypt, right? If you look at it, we were slaves in Egypt, right? This is Sudan here. We were slaves in Egypt. Libyans were there. I told you this. Egypt had conquered this entire region. Egyptian empire. And we had leaders from our community, from our lineage, that ruled Egypt, black pharaohs. And it's well documented. This is what a prophet should do. Tell all those your so-called prophets, if you're looking for quick miracles, quick fix, to write a paper on systematic theology. And we are going to read that paper and understand if they understand that God that they preach about. Every prophet in that Bible was appointed by God at a particular season to help the children of Israel find direction, not confusion. Beginning with Moses, the first thing was to show them who they were and how their God has preserved them even while they were in slavery. And this is what I'm doing to the Tikar people, to tell them this is who you are. Anglophone should not make you yoke with the Southwest and say, now this is who you are. I first of all help them understand who they are from the colonial mindset that they have been conditioned to believe that now they are Anglophones. To let the Bamileke people understand that even though you speak French now, that is just a phone, but this is who you are. This is how you find freedom, by understanding your own history in-depthly. So that is your story. Now you understand how you find yourself where you are today and the way back home. Everyone in here needs to unite, break away. The colonial game here is over, and you should be as loud as you can about it. We will do business even with those colonial masters in the future. I said it is time for us to cooperate even with that colonial master to deal with this 20% betrayal coming from these regions around us. This is the map. I stretch it and I look at the people from every angle and how the enemy came in and destroyed what we have. And then I study the map of their movements, their motivations, their intentions, and how they came in and messed up with our tradition. And then we plot a way back home.